Hey guys, Blair here. These are my PSGL highlights. I'm gonna let you lot enjoy my qualifying lap and I'll be back for the race. So it's a wet track and we're actually on dry tyres, which was a bit confusing for most of the drivers on the grid. I see people in the chat saying they had no idea this was going to happen. At the start you can see we beat the Renault off the line, and the main rival is Skeven because Australia is one of my strongest tracks and gunning for the win right now. And that right there is my only warning of the whole race. I'm pretty proud of, to say the least. We sort of close up to Skeven, nearly touching the back of him. It's a bit risky because on the opening lap you don't really want to be braking your front wing. We just try to take it sort of easy and keep the car moving at a steady pace forwards. And we aim to sort of make a move looking towards the second stint or the end of the first stint, because that would be the most tactical time to make a move. We get a good run on Skeven here. We look to the inside, but we're just not quite close enough, and we don't have the braking confidence yet in these tricky conditions to pull off an overtake or even dare to go for a move. And as we look up this fast left right hander, we close all the way up to the back of him. We're trying to look left and right. We're looking left and right to see if we can create an opportunity. Get past. We dive down the inside here, even sort of yields. I'd have been a bit more confident. I may have been able to make that work, but hindsight's 2020 in these sorts of situations. We dive down here. At this point, we tried to cross over into the final corner by putting him off, making him get a bad run, and it really sort of worked, but we just lost the back end. And now we're under pressure from Black Mamba behind us. I picked my line before he picks his, so it's a perfectly legal move. And he sort of backs out a bit, thinking, why is this only lap 2? Don't need to be going for any sort of rash moves. But look at that wheel work as we save the car, try and keep it pointed in a straight line. Down the inside, the Skeven completely psychs me out here. I thought he was carrying way more speed into that corner. He just gets the lovely cutback, but then gets a bit out of shape, and we attempt to go around the outside, but that's where my race ended in one time, and it nearly ended again. The contact on the front wing there. But Mamba comes out of nowhere and sort of pushes us off track really, but puts us under pressure from Bad Boy now, who I feel confident I'm faster than him on this track, and that would really put my race in jeopardy if he managed to get in front of me there. Luckily he backs out because it's still the opening couple of laps and he's not really willing to risk the front wing. Coming to later on in the race, lap 5, I'm closing back up to Skeven after the Mamba incident, and at this point in time we're feeling quite strong. The cars, we've managed to get used to the car sliding about, catching the counter steer there. We get a solid run on him coming towards the end of the first sector. Look how tight he sticks it. I think he got a wheel on the grass there, and we don't show our cards till the very end, and we managed to duck down the inside, give him a little bit of a frustration squeeze, but he's still on track. Both races aren't compromised. and we continue on with the race on towards Black Mamba. So you sort of have to catch the car there. That was a bit of a problem in the whole race, really. I mean, these conditions, who would have expected it? It was a perfectly dry qualifying. Sun's out, all of a sudden, raining, and that corner there really cost me a lot of time throughout this race. So I feel if I'd have been more confident around there and managed to stop the car sliding a bit sooner, that we could have possibly won by a bigger margin. We're coming to the pits now because we're gaining on Mamba, and behind us, Squeezy Lemon's Softs was working an absolute treat for him as he was making up positions left and right, putting pressure on, I think it was Bad Boy, and closing right up to the back of him. So we decided to pit on Softs and try and get the undercut on Mamba, who we're teammates with. So if he pitted next lap, then I have to pit the lap after. Coming out the pits, Rotards are closed right up to the back of us, and that's under extreme pressure. He's going for the move immediately. Look at that, he pulls straight to the outside. Well, he gives us the inside, which allows us to control the corner, and we just don't allow him to cut back and get a proper run off that third turn there. So he loses the back end slightly. As we set the fastest lap here, and we're closing right onto the back of Black Mamba. That undercut has worked a treat for us. Turn 1 and 2, the outside, or the racing line, is just slippery. So we're constantly looking everywhere else for the grip. You can see I'm just trying to be as smooth as possible with both the wheel and the throttle. These softs, I feel like the softs were a lot easier to get to work than the ultra softs in these conditions, and I think they were the optimal race tyre. I'm pretty sure if I went onto these earlier, if a lot of drivers actually went onto these earlier, they could definitely be in with a shout of winning a race. As we're closing up to Black Mamba, you have to remember the dirty air as a factor, as we get a snap of oversteer there. Goes right up to the back of him, even making contact. And that was really the story of this race, of me versus Mamba. A 2-horse race, and we're both teammates in the first round. So really, at this point in time, we're both looking for a high points haul, because once we get the constructors sorted, then we can start to have a real drivers' championship. But right now, we're really playing with fire at this point, as we're both going all out. You see me working on the wheel there to try and keep the car pointing in a straight line. I don't know what he's doing, but surely it just can't be that easy. I mean, these conditions, like, he gets a bit out of shape there. Get a slightly better run through that left right hander, and we go for a move. He yields the position as he's not willing to fight to the very end right now. We're only 14 laps into this race, and we are both teammates. I mean, look at the margin on the minimap. Got quite a large buffer to Rotards behind. We've done quite an impressive job to take his softs from lap 1 to the very end, because he had wing damage on lap 1. At this point, power balance has sort of shifted, because I'd made an uncharacteristic mistake there, and Mamba was just pulling away from me. Like, he managed to pull a 1.5 gap, and he was going faster and faster. I mean, he's bolted. As soon as he's got the lead, he's gone. Gap behind being 10.8, meaning we don't have that much pressure from the well, we're allowed to make a few more moves, but coming up to this final lap, we managed to find pace out of nowhere to close up to him in half a temp. And at this point, I knew he was fuel saving, because Mamba tends to go overkill on the rich mix, and it may have hurt him towards the end of this, because I still had some to spare, even though I'm running on fumes at this point with 0.2 of a lap. But we're going hard, attacking the corners, sliding out of every single corner. We are going balls to the wall to try and catch him. make this overtake. I mean, the tension was just palpable. You can see it in the driving. He seems sort of like scared, almost, because he's taking the most wide lines to make sure he has the widest margin for error. As you come up to this, I knew he had penalties. I did want to win it on track because that's how a real driver would do it, obviously. But he moves over in the braking zone and forces us wide here. That's quite a controversial move there, but I'm not reporting it, so I don't see why, because I got the win and I'm elated with that victory. A round 1 victory, a strong start to the season. Could you really ask for more?